You do have to kind of understand who your buyer is.
How do you determine if an item is selling?
When I pick something up to scan, I already have an intention of, I think this is going to sell. My average is pretty good. There's just a natural intention when I go out that ends up happening that I'm sourcing more for Walmart than I am for Amazon because of the
Hey everyone, my name is Noah. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing a reseller who I've been following for a while. She's crushing it on Walmart. She's been crushing it on Amazon for years, and I'm excited to share her story. So Tracy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you. So my name is Tracey. I'm also known as Seven Figure Grammy on social media. I have been reselling since the 90s. So I was an original eBay seller for a while, and then made the transition over to Amazon in 2000. They actually invited me because I was kind of a high tier toy seller over on eBay, and have been selling on Amazon ever since, and then added Walmart to the mix in 2019. So for a while on Walmart.
Yeah, so is it fair to say you're an OG in the space?
I call myself a dinosaur more than an OG, but like I feel like a dinosaur because I really was there at the very beginning when there was nothing, like no apps, no anything for Amazon. So the transition to Walmart was pretty easy because it felt very much like the beginning of Amazon.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people saying like Walmart's now like, oh, Walmart is Amazon in 2018 or 2017. And I'm like, nah, we had tools back then. From what I
Yeah.
understand, it's like Amazon 2010 or even before.
Yeah, before then, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's funny also that you mentioned eBay because so I sell on a grandfathered account from someone who I run a business with. So we got this a few years ago. I'm not sure if you could see it. It says eBay 25.
Mm.
Um, so like the account that I've been selling on, I think has been open since like 96 or not. I was born in 98. So like this eBay account is older than me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to delve into your journey and just, how you've gotten started. I know you've had ups and downs along the way and you've had to overcome them.
Yeah, so really, my resale journey basically started out of kind of a need. I was looking for a specific toy that my son wanted for his birthday or Christmas. His birthday's in December, and I could not find it anywhere. And the only place I could find it at the time was eBay for like 4 times the price. And I was a teacher, didn't have a lot of money, so couldn't afford that. So I was just like every day going to Toys R Us, going to Walmart, like trying to find it. And I walked into a Costco and they had a pallet of them. So I was quickly put one in my cart, super excited that I was going to be able to get this gift that he wanted. And then my brain went, well, wait a second. If other people are selling this for 4X, like if I pick up a few extra, like that would pay for his entire birthday. So I picked up a handful of them, 4 or 5, listed them as soon as I got home, and they all sold within 20 minutes. And so I immediately got back in my car, drove back to Costco, and bought everything that they had left. And it just was like at that point, the light bulb moment of saying like, there's this service basically I can provide for other people. Yes, I make money doing it, but giving people something that they can't find other places. And so I just started flipping toys during Q4. And I was working a full-time job at the time. And like I said, I transitioned over to Amazon and kind of continued that for a lot of years while working a full-time job. And then in 2021, made the decision because I was working in corporate America after I taught for about 21 years, and I was a VP, and like had a lot of responsibility, but I traveled a lot, and I just wanted like a simpler life. And after COVID hit and kind of our sales exploded with COVID, it kind of showed me what was possible in terms of doing it full time. And so October of 21, I went full time. And my son had already been full time for a year with me. He's my warehouse manager now. And yeah, we kind of took off running, but we did have a massive hurdle in 2022. I'd just gotten warehouse space because we had outgrown my house, and my house was 2,800 square feet, but like it was full of product. And so we were moving product over kind of slowly. We wanted to be very methodical about setting up the warehouse. And I had a house fire. And so I lost a large portion of inventory in that house fire. So that was like a real like punch to the gut after just kind of getting in my warehouse and getting set up. And the unfortunate part is I'm still 26, 27 months after the fire. I'm still not completely like made whole by the insurance company. We're still working through it. It's been that could be its own episode of just like all of the things that you have to do for the insurance company if something were to happen. It's a lot of paperwork, and a lot of explaining to them how arbitrage businesses work because it's such an unfamiliar area for them.
Yeah.
But we overcame it, and we're chugging along. It did set us back. We were growing at a huge pace at that point, and we haven't been growing like that as much since then. But we're doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so much to dissect there.
Yeah.
But just starting from your, your when you began, do you remember the year that you? I first want to talk about your first sale.
Yeah.
So I remember mine. I always ask sellers like about that, and I think it's like that immediate proof of concept that you talked about. That it's like, before this, it's all holistic. It's all, this is a concept, but as soon as you get proof of concept, it's like, okay, this actually works. And if I could do it once, I could do it again. If I could do it again, I could do it 4 times. I could do it 8 times. And it's, that was also something to me as a reseller, just like getting into this. When I sold my first product, I think I made 32 cents, but like, it was just like, okay, someone's willing to buy something from me. And what time span from like when you started to, I guess roughly what year did you actually decide to go full time?
Yeah, so I started selling on eBay like 97, 97, 98, somewhere in there. My first product, the product that my son wanted was the original Harry Potter Lego castle, the very first one that they
If
made.
you still had those, they would be worth a fortune.
Oh, I know. Don't even like I sold so many things in garage sales, like literally massive amounts of Pokemon cards. So like like original ones, the first gen. So I don't even want to think about all the things I've sold that later on would have probably made me money. So then I went to Amazon in 2000, and then it was 2021. So it was 21 years later that I made the leap to full time.
Wow.
So, I was, my job, I was traveling 180 days out of the year. So like it just, it was just kind of a part-time side hustle. It paid for vacations, and it paid for Christmas and birthdays. It took us, we went to Alaska, we went to Florida, we did some fun things we never would have probably been able to do. It actually paid for my PhD as well. So like that side hustle money, I bought my husband a boat. Like it was great, but we just kept buying things with it. We didn't reinvest to like grow the business. So that really
Mhm.
didn't start until about 2019. So while I was still working full time, I was reinvesting until we kind of had it built up to the point where I knew I could make enough every month to be able to leave, the real world job, so to
Yeah.
speak.
And I think a lot of people are going to find that valuable because, most people, I actually started reselling while I was in college, and that became my full-time thing right away. I've never
Mhm.
had a quote unquote real job. I mean, I worked at a pizza store or anything. But I think most people, they're transitioning from a full-time job or anything. So I think your experience with that, I've spoken to many people who have had calls with you to speak about that specific thing. So I think
Mhm.
your experience is invaluable with that, and it's also very relatable. I think I also just want to shift the conversation more towards Walmart because that's a
Mhm.
recent venture that you've really exploded with, and just other people are also looking at more info. So do you think that having that, I know you mentioned like the lack of software and everything, having that experience, but like what specifically, if you could like nail down, has really allowed you to just, thrive on that platform from your experience that you've taken over from others?
Yeah, I think part of it is really the experiences that I've had selling on Amazon over the years. So like, Amazon is great now because you have Keepa, you have data that gives you kind of that feedback to know and feel confident in your purchases. Before Keepa, everything was by my gut. Like it was just kind of like I might like gather information from like my kids or my kids' friends of like what's popular or hot or whatever. I'd kind of watch the store shelves and see what was happening. So using that kind of data, but it was really on me to gather that data and make buying decisions about whether or not I wanted to buy this. Do I want to take everything that's on the shelf? Do I want to just take a few? And I think that when Walmart came along with, and you don't have that level of data with Walmart, that's the thing that scares people the most. And I think they are very timid about buying and sending in because they don't have the confidence in what they're purchasing.
Mm.
And so because I did that for so many years, I didn't get Keep until 2019. I didn't even know it existed
Wow.
because I wasn't in groups or anything until 2019. So I learned a lot about things that had been going on that I just was living in a bubble. So, those 19 years of sourcing for Amazon just by my gut and all that other information, I think carried over very well into Walmart to
Yeah,
not
you
be.
you're a living keeper. You are a
Yeah.
keeper.
Well, yeah, not always right, but like, but I'm right more than I'm wrong.
Yeah,
And I think it just comes from those life experiences. And so it just allowed me to not have fear of like, I know this will sell. Like,
right.
I might have to adjust prices, but it's going to sell. And I've had very few products that I shipped into Walmart that haven't sold. So my average is pretty good.
I mean, it's a skill. I was actually talking about this with someone else. Like, there's so people who they depend on the data, and there are people who are very good at reading that data, better than me, better than like, I just see a graph, I can read it decently, but there are
Mhm.
people who like, their living is like reading that keeper graph, and they can read it like it's like it's there's the back of their hand. Versus, I think you've built up that intuition that you don't need that data. You can more or less rely on like your history of trends, able to just gauge social interest in a topic, like if a toy is going to be hot. And that's a really interesting, like which one's more valuable. And I think at the end of the day, they both have their place, but the data might not always be there versus your own intuition. You'll always have that in the back of your pocket. So that's really a tool, that seeing that also translate from eBay and Amazon to Walmart, just really speaks to like, how not how simple, but more or less just like once you learn it on one platform, you do actually have a transferable skill.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. And the only thing I would caveat is all each of those platforms, while they kind of have the same purpose of reselling inventory, the market that they kind of like speak to is a little different. And you do have to kind of understand who your buyer is. Because like
mhm.
the buyer for an Amazon item is not necessarily the same as the buyer for like a Walmart item. And I think that was the biggest thing for me to learn on Walmart platform was like really kind of the core Walmart buyer profile.
Yeah.
And that took just a little bit of time to kind of see what was selling, what wasn't selling, and talking to other people and networking.
Right.
Um,
It's
for
very
that.
interesting. I mean, the companies are relatively the same in terms of revenue,
Mhm.
but like Walmart's still only 100 billion online and 600 billion in store, while Amazon's like 700 something billion
Yeah.
for online. So definitely, I think honestly it will change. I like to invest in the stock, so I like I take a look at their quarterly stuff, and I think they're you're seeing customer habits change for Walmart. I think Walmart .com will be its own entity. Like all of the data and everything that we know, like Walmart's a scary place. If you've ever got it, I know you source from there. I think .com is like, they're trying to make it more separate. It's going to be very interesting to see. So the next thing, talking about sourcing, what specifically do you look for? And I guess we'll start with like just in general, how do you determine if an item is selling?
Well, I mean, I use Martyr for Walmart. So that's kind of like my initial kind of like check against my gut. So like when I pick something up to scan, I already have an intention of I think this is going to sell. And like there's that whole phrase of like scan everything. And I think that there's a place and time for that, even for someone as seasoned as I am, because sometimes you might overlook things that like your brain is telling you wouldn't sell, but then you scan it and you find like maybe it does sell. But Martyr does kind of give some indicators. And so I look for, reviews. I look for how many other people are selling it. Are they selling it WFS or seller fulfilled? Martyr does have some estimated sales, but I don't necessarily buy or not buy based upon that. Um, because like I do a lot of seasonal. So like seasonal is going to not show up right now as really having many sales because all the sales happen in a very compact like 2 to 3 week period. So I don't really like put all my eggs in that basket, but it's nice to kind of see that it is selling, like just an indicator that it is selling. Um, but outside of that, like, I can check over to Keepa and see like, oh, is it selling on Amazon? It's not a foolproof method for it selling on Walmart, but it does indicate that like it's a product that people are looking for and buying. So I kind of just all of those things like kind of coupled together with just kind of my gut of like, I think this is going to be something that sells well. Um, I kind of put all that together and then make a decision. And then as far as how deep I go, it just kind of depends on how much money I'm going to make on it, number one. And then the availability, is it something limited edition or something like that? Like, am I arm sweep something that, is limited edition or doesn't have a lot of stock? But if it's something that I know I can come back and get, then I might do like a 10 or 12 item test buy.
Hmm. And what about for an item, let's say that doesn't have any data? I know I talk with a lot of sellers and like some of their best sellers are ones that have like one
Yeah.
review and it's a 3 star or zero
Mhm.
reviews. So do you ever just like you see something and you have that gut feeling or like what's your
Yeah.
process? Like you'll check Amazon. How do you determine for those listings?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, there are items on Keepa that have no sales rank that sell hundreds a day. Like, it's just for whatever reason, Keepa's not picking it up or some glitch, who knows, whatever. But I mean, that happens. Same thing can happen on Walmart. And so if it's just something that I would like feel really good about, um, because let's just take something like Liquid IV. Liquid IV sells bajillions on both platforms, and they'll come out with limited edition flavors, and there may be absolutely zero information on it, but I will buy those every day of the week because I know as a brand, Liquid IV is a good, solid investment. So, that's just an example. But when it comes to like toys or whatever, like, right, Bluey's a solid brand. Barbie's a solid brand. Star Wars is a solid brand. So you can almost always make money on those kinds of things. But what I look for are kind of the like more novel items, like, so not necessarily, with Bluey, it might not be the thing that's at both Walmart and Target and wherever, but it might be like a exclusive for one of those stores.
Mhm.
Like, I might be more inclined to invest in that. So a lot of that's just kind of because of my experience, but also like I might just see something and go like, yo, that's like really cool. Like, I'm just like, I would buy that for my kids if my kids were young, or I'd buy that for my granddaughter or something like that. And so, yeah, a lot of it is just a kind of a gut feel too.
Is it fair to say that like the first metric you look for then is the price and the profit? So like
Yeah.
yeah, you'd need like a margin there to account for you're like, taking that risk.
Yes, but also I will buy things that don't have other sellers on it that Walmart is currently selling. So the sale price might be $29.99, and that's what I'm paying for it. But I know, based upon my experience, that that item would resell for 65.
Mhm.
And I will buy it even though nobody else is on it if I feel that good about it. Like, if
Wow,
I feel
that's a
that
really that's something I've never heard before. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of, again, like, part of it's just that those years of experience. And it's like, yeah, I'd say like 90-95% of the time I'm right. And then I have that little 5%, but it's like, wah, wah, that was a bad buy. But like, I even have those with Keepa data. Like,
Yeah.
something happens. Years ago, I bought thousands of a doll because the data was amazing. And my order got delayed, and then Amazon came in stock. And so, and they were in stock for months and months and months. So those things just happen in this
Mhm.
world. So, hopefully your margins are enough that you can kind of buffer for those kind of things happening.
Right. And you gotta this business is all about diversification and really just managing your
Absolutely.
risk. And like you said, as long as your wins are bigger than your losses, um,
That's the
that's
plan.
that is the plan. So going over just like sourcing and everything, I know you're mainly RA. I think you also do OA and you also do wholesale. I've seen you in some wholesale groups. So what's your current like setup? Are you, primarily doing one and doing others, or how does that look?
Yeah, so we're about 50% wholesale distribution. I have a local distribution place that I actually go on site. So it's kind of like a combo of RA, but it is distribution. I buy by the pallet. And I've worked with these guys since COVID, so I guess 4 years now. And we built up a relationship where they actually, when they're buying from their people, they will like email me or send me texts, and they're like, what does this look like for you? Like, is this something you want us to pick up for you? So like, they're making buys just for me now instead of just their store. So that's been kind of a really great symbiotic relationship. But I have some wholesale accounts. I've got some brand direct accounts, and we kind of, depending on the time of year, those kind of make our kind of percentages go up and down. So I have a couple of brand direct with seasonal accounts. So right now it's about 50% because we buy a lot of seasonal. for Halloween through Christmas time. And then probably about 35% RA, maybe 15% OA, maybe even less than that. Might be more like 40% RA. I just went on a 5-day sourcing trip. So took my truck, drove across 4 states, pulled a U-Haul trailer back. Like I love doing that. And kind of getting back in and looking at stores that maybe I don't typically get to go to. So that's always a lot of fun for me.
You're the opposite of me. I can't. I tried RA. I maybe go to like a Walmart every Sunday just to browse the clearance. I really think it builds that muscle. No other
Mhm.
sourcing method will build like a like that gut other than RA. And just like being in there at the moment.
Mhm.
Um, but I just can't like I just there's no way I could drive to like all these stores and like I.
Yeah.
So God bless
Yeah.
you, but
Well, and the other thing about doing RA is you see things that you can't see in an online environment. So you see empty spaces on the shelves.
right.
And that's a key element, like especially as we get closer to the holidays of cluing into like what are people buying?
Yeah, you
Or
also
you
have the
see,
product in hand.
yeah, like, yeah. So like just being able to see kind of those shelf spaces that are, people are buying it right off the shelf as soon as it hits, that kind of thing. It kind of gives you those context clues of things that are selling that you just can't get that same information by looking at a website. So
Right.
that's one of the reasons I really like it.
Yeah, and that's how I learned how to like sell. Before selling on Walmart, I'd never done OA or RA, and I think I learned from you how to do RA from Walmart clearance to Walmart. And
Mhm.
I just because of that, I've been exposed to so many other brands and categories. Like that's how did I find out that Walmart brands are gated by trying to
Yeah,
list Ozark Trail, like little things like
yeah.
that. So that's really just how you delve into a platform and get a wide exposure. Um, yeah. So, what are some challenges that you face in terms of just like growing on Walmart, things that just like little things that have that you learn from that you now do every day or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, some of the things that we have done to kind like initially on Walmart, our biggest like block was me because like I'm sourcing and then I was the only one that knew how to like list and get Walmart shipments ready. And then like I have a warehouse with staff and they could prep the shipments and we taught them how to ship the shipments. But like things were really coming to a stop because I didn't have the time in the day to like do all of the like business side of things that I needed to do, as well as get everything listed. So at the beginning of this year, we trained 2 of our staff members how to list on Walmart. And I used my course, which was awesome. And I already kind of had it all done. So I was like, okay, watch this. And then like, as you have questions, come ask me.
Yeah.
And so they have been amazing. They have picked it up and done great. So they can do everything from the time the product comes in to listing the product to creating the shipments and getting it out the door. So that has been like a real win for us this year. And it's allowed us to basically turn more inventory on Walmart because it's just not as simple to get a WFS shipment ready when if you're not replenishing the same things over and over again and you're having to create those new listings every single time, it just takes a lot of time. So that was kind of a blockade. I think the next big one that we're kind of facing now is trying to look at our P&L in the right way. And so we're working with a piece of software. I haven't quite figured out if I like it or not yet. So, there's just not a lot of choice out there, but we really, at the end of the year, our accountant, like, of course, does our whole business, but really trying to pull out and see Walmart compared to Amazon. We haven't quite mastered that yet with Walmart because the software is just not as elegant and as doesn't talk well. Walmart doesn't talk well to anybody right now
Yeah.
with their API. So, we'd love to see a listing software be created. I've talked to a couple of companies about doing that because I feel like it's needed in the space, but Walmart has to kind of stabilize and they're not there yet. I compare them to like Walmart's kind of like the toddler or the 3-year-old that's like asks you why, like all the time and annoys you. And then Amazon's kind of like the angsty teenager that every now and then does something that really ticks you off. Like it's kind of the comparison, like
Yeah.
maturity wise with the software.
That's a good comparison. I think one other question that I had. Oh, you touched on a couple of different things. One other thing before we move away from sourcing was, are you noticing more profitability on Walmart? Because I've spoken with more sellers and like WFS is cheaper and just overall like you're able to sell it for more. So where are you seeing that kind of align with your business and your experience with selling products on both platforms?
Yeah, this has been a very difficult year, I think, for Amazon sellers in terms of profitability. I think some of the new changes that they've made have made it difficult to analyze where your profit is. And I think a lot of people probably don't know their numbers really well over there. They don't really understand how the shipping fees are impacting their business and some of the low inventory fees. They probably aren't putting all of those pieces together to really understand their profitability. When I look at it, our fees are at about 50% of our sales over on Amazon.
Including
Total,
WFS,
in
including
whole.
FBA?
Yeah, like
Okay.
yes, in whole, which is just crazy. Like that's just crazy to me because like I know where it used to be, and like even 4 years ago, like we were probably at about 22%. So
Wow.
like it's just skyrocketed in the last several years. Um, on the flip side with Walmart, we're probably at about between 32 and 35% any given month with all of our fees. So definitely more profitability just because of the lack of fees, but also things sell for more. The problem that we have right now is just finding those high velocity items.
Right.
So our catalog is much wider on Walmart. So, with Amazon, it's more narrow but deeper. And then on Walmart, it's wider, but not as deep, just because we're still locating where can we send in, 1,000 of something. That's just, there are places that you can do it, but they're just harder to find right now. But definitely the profit is higher over there. And we see every single month, our percentage between our Amazon and Walmart sales gets closer and closer. So while we're trying not to cannibalize our Amazon business because we do great numbers on Amazon, we're trying to grow Walmart separate from that. There's just a natural intention when I go out that ends up happening that I'm sourcing more for Walmart than I am for Amazon because of the fees,
Right.
because of the profitability. I'd rather put my money somewhere where I make more money than less money, just like a stock. Like, you don't want the stock that's going to make you $1 versus the one's going to make you 10. Yes, we know which one we're going to pick.
And it's a hard decision as a business owner to make because, Amazon is such a massive platform. But like you
Yeah.
said, it's like, that on average, the dollar you put into Walmart is going to it's going to go more, it's going to go faster, it's going to, and just less headache because Amazon is cracking down. It's just like a lot of things happening. Yeah. So as an Amazon seller, I mean, coming over to Walmart, a lot of Amazon sellers are feeling that boot right now from Amazon. And I think I saw a graph from, Scott from, the smartest Amazon seller. He also runs Smart Scout. He posted a graph showing the average price of an item on Walmart. And I think it started in 2021, and you see it like dip a little bit, maybe in COVID, and then all of a sudden it skyrockets. And today, in just 3 or 4 years, the average price has gone up from like 22 or 21 all the way up to 28. And just like prices are rising, and that's a result of fees rising. And just Walmart doesn't have those fees. They don't have placement fees. WFS fees are much cheaper on average than FBA fees, and
Their
just
shipping
across the
fees.
board.
Yeah, their shipping fees are so much cheaper than
Right.
Amazon,
Uh,
and you don't have to split anything.
no, no split. I do get random splits, but like I think it's
Yeah,
not like FBA,
right.
where you're sending like one package to California, even though the it's going rerouting back to a fulfillment center in Pennsylvania.
Makes
So
no
I think,
sense.
yeah, and it's just like it's so interesting to see. I really think obviously things can change, but Walmart seems to be like they're on their homepage. Their motto is no hidden fees, no this, no that. It's lower fees on average, 15% compared to competitors because we can't name Amazon. So yeah, I think it's really just like even if you have a product at the same price, you tend to make more money on Walmart, just because of those fees. And that's what a lot of sellers are like. They hear, oh, higher prices, oh, but the product's not double the price. How do I make more money? It's just like the fees tend to be lower.
Yes,
So you have to look at like all metrics, even in returns and everything else. It's just like look at everything in terms of totality. And like most people's fees are lower on Amazon, on Walmart, and you tend to have higher margins.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So in terms of let's say fulfillment, are you doing mostly seller fulfilled? Are you doing WFS? Are you one or the other?
Yeah, we're probably about 90 to 95% WFS. So, and that may shift like early November. Like, we may start doing more seller fulfilled, just kind of depending on product choice and what we find. Like if we're selling seasonal stuff, then we'll definitely probably keep it in house and do seller fulfilled. anything that doesn't go out probably by the end of this month. But we will continue to push shipments in WFS and FBA even through the holidays, because just our regular everyday products, like we want those available for people. So we never stop shipping. So everybody's like, oh yeah, beginning December, I'm gonna stop. Nope, not me. I just keep
Feed the
shipping.
beast.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's the same mentality we have here. It's just like if we get it in time and we can ship it in before Q4 of the holidays, let's WFS it or FBA it. If
Yeah.
not, it's just like you got to get your hands dirty and just ship it out to the customers. Yeah. So are you hoping to be like close to 100% or 90% WFS, or like do you like having that, like you'll keep a reserve level of inventory, or like specifically like product based? How does your mindset go into that?
Yeah, so the things we choose to to sell or fulfill, like right now it's our meltables. So we ship meltables all through the summer using ice packs and reflective shipping materials and all that kind of good stuff. And we have pretty good success with that. We might have one or two people whose mail person doesn't read the keep away from heat sticker and sticks it in a hot metal mailbox in Florida in July. But we just, that's part of doing business. Outside of that, what we choose to merchant fulfill might be slower moving things we know aren't going to move really fast. So we don't want to pay the storage fees, but we know that they're going to sell. It's just a product that just doesn't move quite as fast, but we got maybe a killer deal on, so we picked them up. And then as we get closer to the holidays, it'll be the super fast moving things that we want to merchant fulfill, just so that we can get them sold before the price tanks or other people get their hands on it or something like that. So that's kind of how we choose what we do, what we don't. But the majority of our stuff, we ship it in.
And all of your fulfillment is in house, right? You don't use a prep center or
Right.
anything.
I've not used a prep center I only used a prep center for a period of about 5 months after I had surgery on my leg and I couldn't go anywhere. So after that, we brought it all in-house. And yeah, I've got a team of people, and I have full-time people, and then I also have contractors that we call in depending on what our workload is. So they're kind of always ready to come in if and when we have work available.
And in terms of, let's say, product sourcing, do you also have employees or do you use virtual assistants?
No, everything is on me for sourcing. So
Okay.
I do it's something that I would really like to try to start outsourcing more. My mom occasionally will go sourcing for me, and then I go down and pick it up from her. It's about 3 hours away from me. But recently we haven't been doing that because just I'm spending the money so fast because there's just so much opportunity to go
Right.
by.
You got to clone
Um,
yourself.
yeah, but yeah, it's all on me for the sourcing piece.
Yeah, I think that's also something that like a lot of sellers are, once you reach that point, it's like that's the hardest skill to really
It is.
outsource. I mean, I just trained a virtual assistant to like not even like source, just to like identify a somewhat decent product for Walmart. And then
Mhm,
like, I'm gonna review all the data and show her, okay, this one was good, this one was not. It's just like a process because you have to slowly build that up. It's not just something that you can like say, okay, I'm looking for this metric on Walmart, this metric, because there really is no uniform metric that you're looking for.
mhm. I did recently train my two girls that know Walmart on both the Nepeto app and the Martyr app. And we went out, I think Big Lots had a sale. And so I was with them, and I was like, okay, scan and then like show me if you think it's worth buying. And so that was what I kind of did to help them, like say no, and this is why, but yes, that's a good buy. And so they're actually planning to go out with me over Black Friday weekend for a couple of on-sites just for extra hands. So
Gotcha.
that's exciting for me to not have to do it by myself.
Right. I have my siblings help me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like I need all hands on deck. So, you mentioned two softwares that you use. What's your current tech stack for your Walmart business?
Ooh, for Walmart. So I have Marty's kind of my main sourcing app that I use, but I do have access to DataSpark and Wally Smarter and Sellify, which are all similar tools. They kind of each have their own little nuances. I do that because I do leads lists, and so I try to provide multiple views on the lead. So that's why I have all of those. And also, DataSpark has some wholesale kind of content that is kind of nice to dig into now and then. And then I have Dashna, which is by Cellcord. That is the software to look at your P&L. I use the Walmart app. I have access to that right now. And then repricing, I did use Flash Pricer, but I recently have gone back to the Walmart price repricer because they redid the whole interface. So now you can do it all online without having to do a flat file.
Thank God.
So yeah, I know it's like amazing. I think that's about it for Walmart. Like
Okay. It's
it's
light,
pretty,
it's lean. I
yeah.
like that.
And
I respect
there's
that.
not a lot out there yet.
Not
So
yet. I
yeah.
mean, I think it's I've just been in the space, hearing whispers and this and that, and I think come Q4 2025, we're going to be looking at a whole different landscape, hopefully. Um, I don't know about Walmart's API. I mean, I have another software that we're approved for. We're a partner with Walmart. If they don't give you much more data than the public API, it's just like also the big thing is like determining what's in store versus online.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot to figure out. I think Walmart's currently just like there's so many problems, and then they're like, hey, look here, we just have a new dashboard, and then it's like, okay, but my seller fulfilled inventory, which was zero, now has one, and I have to
Yeah.
cancel this. It's like, okay, but like here's the new word pricer. Here's a multi-channel. So
Yeah.
I think they're really just trying to push to grow. Because it looks nice, like 30% every single quarter, year over year. Like all these numbers look nice, but there's still a lot of things that are underneath that are just they need to solve those issues as well.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, speaking to just that point in particular, when I went out to the resellers conference that Walmart put on, which I thought was great. I was really glad I went. I was a little hesitant to go, but then I went and I was really glad I did. But what kind of struck me that I don't think had hit me before was I think that they're building their platform really for 1P. At that sellers conference, it became real apparent that like they're really kind of building for this 1P environment, like, people like Blackstone Grills was there and Jelly Belly was there. And like, so when I was bringing up these issues about, like, oh, why do we have to enter dimensions and weight? And they're like, well, we have to have that information. I'm like, but you already have it because the listing exists. And they're like, huh? They weren't even thinking about somebody listing on a listing that already exists. And so I think it's going to take a little bit of time for them to understand like some of the issues that we're having, which are very different than issues that maybe somebody who's just creating a catalog once and then they're just, they might have a new offer that they add like once a year when they create a new product. It's very different than someone like us who are, buying and doing the arbitrage model. So
Right.
yeah, it's just,
And I saw
makes
you
it a little
mentioned that before, and it's interesting really to see because I think Amazon was one of the first platforms to really cater to multiple types of businesses.
Mhm.
It might not be as much money in the reseller space as working with 1P and working with all these brands to get their products up there, but it's still a significant chunk of sales. It's
Yeah.
also interesting just to see like there are so many sellers who are sourcing from Walmart to sell onto Walmart. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I was talking with another, people outside of the space, and that just blows people's minds because even A to A, you're still buying from Amazon online. It's not like Walmart it's such a massive beast where you can just like source from one end and you can sell it on the other. And there's just so many ways to really source. But again, it's all coming from Walmart. It's just like a crazy concept really to think about. So it's going to be interesting to see where the pieces fall, and I think like as more and more sellers grow, hopefully we have a louder and louder voice. But I also think they are making steps to bring that attention to us and also those resources. I think when I wasn't able to attend the seller summit, but I think you met like that they hired an affiliate rep, Cassandra, and they
Mhm.
are making like different steps to go ahead and to cater to bringing on new sellers as well, like resellers and people like that.
Yeah, that and then I also was able to meet with executives and be part of kind of this group that they like will occasionally like sit down with us on Zoom and show us kind of, or ask us questions like what's wrong with this part of the product or what would you want to see fixed. And when they come back and show you, like they actually have listened, maybe not to 100%, but at least to some of what we're saying. And so I do feel definitely more heard as a seller. I think right now on the Walmart platform, then I would say I think that Amazon's just so massive that they don't make their decisions based upon, what sellers are saying because they can always go get more sellers right now. Like
Right.
we're like a flea for them. Whereas Walmart is really they're trying to gain that market share. And so as a result, like I think they're very much have this kind of like warm and welcoming attitude towards sellers, which is
And I
great.
really hope that maintains because
I
I,
do
you
too.
know, I don't know if Amazon, I've never sold on there long enough to really remember the early days. But you know, when you were starting to sell on Amazon, did they have that kind of like that more open door policy, like, hey, come on in? Because Walmart right now, I think it's like a metric that they're trying to build up. Like, hey, you know, we've grown sellers from 50K to 200, 300, 400, 500, whatever it is. And it's a great number that looks great on the website, on the stock price and everything. Do you think that that attitude will ever shift?
I think that's something that kind of comes with size. Like it's really, really hard the larger you are as a company. I mean, I think about working in the corporate world. Like I've worked at very, very small organizations, up into like, Fortune 500 companies. So like you have a much louder voice in those smaller organizations, and they tend to want to listen and want to make change. And then the larger it gets, it's just there's so many voices. I can't imagine like being the one to make the decision about like we're going to do X or Y, because you have people who want it both ways. And I
Right.
just feel like that's just something that comes as you become larger. I do feel like though Walmart, the way that they're focusing on this platform and kind of really saying like just being very welcoming to sellers, I don't think I ever felt that on Amazon. I mean, it was like initially it was like, oh, here's an invitation. I want you to come sell. And then it was like, and peace out. You're on your own. And so like, I was learning like how to, like initially my first, few months on Amazon, I thought it was like eBay. So I was like, oh, I have to make all my own listings. I didn't really understand it. Because not they didn't have as near the product catalog that they do today. So there were a lot of things I would find that didn't have listings, but I didn't really understand how vital it was to make that listing correct, and everything, because it sticks and there it is with the UPC forever. And I think we kind of have some of that similar stuff happening on Walmart, where new people come on board and they're like, well, I can just make listings, and like they just make up UPCs and then the catalog gets really messy. And so we have to do a lot of catalog cleanup.
Yeah.
Uh, so, that's kind of a learning process, but I think Walmart's doing a better job. There, a lot of people come on and get account reps to kind of help them
Yeah, I never got one.
navigate.
Now
I
they're
did
getting
not
like
get one.
incubation reps. I'm like, where I'm
I
still
think that must have
incubating.
happened
Where's my rep?
after I came over. Like, how do I get one of those? But even like support, I can have a conversation with their support people. And I don't really feel like I ever get to have a conversation, because there's on Amazon, they're so worried about finding which response they're supposed to give me on
Right.
the front of their computer. And just so there's a little bit of that I think, because they're not fully developed, but I hope that as they develop, they kind of keep a little bit of that, I will call it like country charm, maybe. It's an Arkansas company, so like have a little
Yeah.
bit of that southern charm.
It's interesting to see because they are still a Fortune 500 company, but it's kind of like a
Yeah.
company within a company.
Yeah,
Um,
well, and even like I think as Walmart as an organization, like they segment things and kind of like have like smaller little bubbles within
right.
there.
But
So,
I mean, it's kind of like let's say Amazon, AWS to Amazon is their marketplace to Walmart because
mhm.
their profit margins on the retail, I think, is like 4%. And, you know, like running the retail store, I think like some of the stores have like an 11% theft rate or just like crazy statistics
Yeah.
versus the marketplace. They let all the sellers come on. You know, obviously you have some policing to do and stuff like that. You sit back, you collect that 8%, that 10%, that 15% fee. And that's just a much higher profit margin. It's a much more scalable business. And really, I think like this is going to become, if not a decent sized, a bigger segment of their business that's going to show growth. So it's really going to be interesting to see how they manage that. And you brought a lot of insight to that conversation of like going from a small company to a larger company from a beginner's perspective. Is if people wanted to get started on Walmart today, would you recommend them getting started in there first, or would you recommend them just starting on another platform?
Yeah, well, the thing about Walmart and who they accept as sellers, part of that you have to have a proven history of sales somewhere. Okay. So could it be Amazon? Yes. Could it be eBay? Yes. I've heard that works. I've also heard Shopify works. If you have not sold on one of those platforms and had kind of like, I would say 6 months or more of active sales history, and active, I'm not saying that's a certain dollar amount. I think they just want to see that it's an active account. You're probably not going to be accepted as a Walmart seller. So it's really hard, I think, to start on Walmart because of that. But if you have those things, then I think Walmart is kind of it's a good place, but I don't think it's the best place to start. I think because you need to build up those muscles in terms of understanding about profitability and fees and what sells. I really think Amazon, because you have the data, is a safer platform to start on. Although Walmart's more profitable, I think people can make mistakes because they don't have that data unless you are, maybe in a group or buying leads lists or something to kind of help you with that. I still sell a lot on Amazon. I think it's a great platform, but I think everybody should diversify and not only sell on Amazon. And so I don't care what else you do. You can sell on eBay, you can sell on Mercari, you can sell on whatnot, whatever, Walmart. You can do real estate, you can whatever. But I feel like putting all your eggs in the Amazon basket in today's environment is a very, very scary thing to do.
Right.
But for new people, I probably would say sell on Amazon for 4 to 6 months, kind of build those muscles up, and then get your Walmart account, and then make a decision about which one you prefer. But I think it's hard to get an account as a new person
I think I heard
without
a
that.
good comparison. It's like being an Uber or Lyft driver. You're not married to any platform. Go
Yeah,
where you're treated better, go where you're getting
yeah,
rides, and start with one, learn the ropes, and then you can add more.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
So yeah, I mean, one thing that you mentioned also that I remembered my question was when you're creating a listing or when you're like, looking for different ways to grow, are you running ads? Are you creating bundles or kind of like what's
Mm.
your philosophy to just like test the waters that aren't really tested right now and like what's working for you?
So I have tried ads several times and have not had great success with them. I felt like it's very expensive on Walmart to run ads, much more so than Amazon. Amazon, I have a catch-all campaign that runs year round, 2 cent, 3 cent bid, whatever. Your lowest bid on Walmart is 20 cents, and that adds up very, very quickly. I have done some SEM and had moderate success with that. I did one during back to school, and I gained some sales from it, but I wouldn't say it was as successful as I've had my Amazon campaigns be. We do have a couple of brands that we own, and we have done some branded bundles, some with success and some without. Last holiday, with some branded bundles that sold out on Amazon, and I think we sold two on Walmart. So it was really disappointing. But then we had another bundle that we sold out of on Amazon and we sold out of on Walmart. So what we have to do is analyze the products and like why that happened. Like why was one great and one not? And I think part of it was price point. The bundle that didn't sell well was a much higher price point that probably most typical Walmart sellers would not, or Walmart buyers, it would be a turnoff. So I think price point is super important on
Yeah.
Walmart. But
And it's interesting.
we do a lot of multi-packs. We create multi-packs right now because you can. And we do some bundling as well.
Yeah.
I
So
wouldn't say it's a big part of our business though.
for the multi-packs though, are you like creating the virtual multi-packs or are you buying a separate UPC code for
Um, yeah, I buy UPC. So I have GS1s that I bought for my brand. And
okay.
so we
So you're doing
utilize,
like two, three, four.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I think this call has been really beneficial for me, and I've learned a lot. You mentioned several times your course. You've mentioned several times the lead list. So where can people find you as well as your services and just your trainings and what you offer?
Yeah, everything that I offer is on my website, which is winning, WINNING, on WM for Walmart.com. So winning on WM.com. I do have a course that teaches you how to do everything on the Walmart platform. You usually have leads lists. I don't have leads list during Q4 because I'm running a Walmart Q4 group and all my leads are going in there. I also help lead the Village, which is a Facebook group for Amazon and Walmart sellers. And I have a free Facebook group for Walmart people, and coaching and all that is on that website.
Perfect. And your handle on everything is seven figure Grammy.
Yeah, seven, the number seven, figure Grammy
Best
with
username by
with
far.
with M's. So
And
yeah, I got to live
you
up to the
also
white hair, I guess.
everything's going to be linked down below for everyone to find you. And I appreciate you very much. Thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. Thank you.
Awesome.